Good afternoon. My name is David Gendell. Welcome to today's ceremony honoring John Potvin from the Maryland Historic Trust and the Thomas Shoal Point Lighthouse. I was asked to kick off today's ceremony providing a little bit of context on the history of the lighthouse and this award. I'm the author of a book called creatively Thomas Shoal Lighthouse, a Chesapeake Bay icon. So welcome to our guest today here. We were originally supposed to hold this ceremony out aboard the lighthouse, which is over my right shoulder here, about 1.5 miles away. We have small craft warnings, lots of wind and waves, so we've moved to the shore here, and we are on Thomas Point itself, the actual point. So a bit of context on the lighthouse and this award. When we're out on the Chesapeake Bay these days, it's eerily devoid of ships. And that gets us thinking of things through the lens of the Key Bridge disaster. And this concept that a piece of public infrastructure could be deemed critical. Brick and mortar, wood and iron, critical to the economy, critical to the public, critical to the public good. Well, in 1875, when the Thomas Shoal Lighthouse was first lit, Ulysses S. Grant was president, and that lighthouse was a piece of critical public infrastructure. Through much of the 19th century, Baltimore was the second largest city in the United States. It had a direct railroad connection to Chicago. It was the westernmost of the East Coast ports. Getting ships to and from the open ocean to the port of Baltimore was critical. Of the utmost importance, jobs, livelihoods, entire economies depended on getting ships safely up and down the bay. The shoal at Thomas Point was an impediment to that safe passage up and down the Chesapeake Bay. About 1 mile long, hard-packed sand and clay. It reached out 1 mile into the bay towards the deep water. A grounding on that shoal, then as now, would stop even the biggest, most modern ship. There had been agitation among mariners and shipping industries to put a navigational aid in Thomas Point as early as the presidency of George Washington. By 1825, the federal government put a stubby stone lighthouse on the point, not far from here, 30 feet tall, built of stone. Poorly designed, poorly constructed, its light was inconsistently lit, and when it was lit, it was often obscured by the trees. Not long afterward, that stone tower began to fail, and they built a second one, also too short, also 1 mile away from the deep water. The complaints were constant. By the 1870s, finally, there was some infrastructure advances in technology that allowed lighthouses to be built out on the water, where they were needed, adjacent to the deep water, not 1 mile away among the trees. The Thomas Shoal Lighthouse was a screw pile style lighthouse. It was built in the autumn of 1875. It was built out on the end of the shoal, next to the water. At its top, a Fresnel lens, which could project a clear beam for miles out into the bay. Its first keeper, a Civil War veteran, had fought and been wounded for the Union, was a proven loyal to the United States of America. So it was a great lighthouse with a great keeper in a great location and a powerful Fresnel lens. The irony of the story, and what ties in today with John Potvin's work and the team's work out on the lighthouse, is that even when it was first lit, the lighthouse was considered inappropriate for the spot. As it was being built, experts deemed a screw pile style lighthouse out on the end of the shoal was too fragile. It was exposed to wind, waves, hurricanes, ice flows. A screw pile would never last out on the end of the shoal. And even as it was being planned, there was a movement to change it to a sturdier design, more appropriate for that exposed location. The budget didn't come available, the timing was wrong, and the fragile screw pile lighthouse was built out there on the end of the point. Incredibly, and probably 150 years later, that screw pile lighthouse still stands out on the end of the point. It has been lit 25,000 nights. It's witnessed 50,000 high tides. It's outlasted 27 American presidents. John and I witnessed a small concert by Jimmy Buffett out on that lighthouse a couple years ago. So it's seen plenty of action. You know, today, the stewardship of that lighthouse is a remarkable public-private partnership. You know, public entities, private entities, and it depends on dozens of volunteers. Craftsmen, experts, docents, tour leaders, workers of all sorts. At the same time, shoreside, it relies on elected officials. It relies on public leaders. It relies on a huge network of people that love and support the lighthouse its history, its role in the American story. John Potvin, for the last 9 years, has been an incredible leader of this effort. We're here today to celebrate John and the work he's done out on the lighthouse. John is methodical, he's tenacious, he is a hard worker who will roll up his sleeves. At the same time, on shore, he will pull on a blazer and go and speak and work with elected officials, go and speak with entities such as the Maryland Historic Trust, and on behalf of the lighthouse. He is a perfect advocate and a tireless advocate on behalf of this historic structure. So today, as we gather here on the point itself to honor John, I'd like to welcome everyone. And our next speaker is Elizabeth Hughes from the Maryland Historic Trust. Elizabeth.
Thanks so much. What a great history to set the stage. It's so exciting to be here today. As we heard in those remarks, this would not be possible without the support of our elected officials, and we are very happy to have joining us today Senator Sarah Elfreth and Delegate David Jones, who you'll hear from a bit later. Also here is MHT Board Member Christine Room, so thank you all for coming. We're here at really what is an incredibly scenic location, even though we can't be on the lighthouse, to recognize Mr. Potvin's commitment to preserving such an iconic example of Maryland's maritime heritage. Since 1975, the MHT Board of Trustees has honored outstanding preservation efforts of individuals, businesses, nonprofit organizations, local governments, and others who protect, steward, and share the historic places and cultural heritage that make Maryland unique. Something that Mr. Potvin has done throughout his career at the Thomas Shoal Point Lighthouse and with his commitment to the Chesapeake Bay that surrounds it. Mr. Potvin first became involved with the lighthouse as a volunteer become the preservation director in 2017. 2 years later, in 2019, he assumed the position of Lighthouse Manager. As manager, he led the staff and volunteers through a major restoration effort that included construction of a new steel structure under the lighthouse, renovation of a six-sided Victorian cottage that is supported by the original screw piles, and restoration of the interior, which is now furnished with period antiques and artifacts. Key partners in this preservation effort were volunteers from the Chesapeake chapter of the United States Lighthouse Society, someone who will also join us today, and those efforts have resulted in a museum-quality experience for the visiting public. Many of the volunteers giving these public tours, including Mr. Potvin himself, are certified Chesapeake Bay storytellers. We heard quite a bit about the history of the lighthouse, and it's important to understand that that history is really recognized now. It is designated as a National Historic Event, just since 1999, and it remains the only screw pile lighthouse in its original location in the world. This historic landmark continues to serve as an activation navigation and one of Chesapeake Bay's most recognizable sites, appearing on U.S. postage stamps, as you can see behind me, and in the portfolios of countless artists. Thanks to Mr. Potvin's tireless efforts, the lighthouse has never looked better. On behalf of the Maryland Historical Trust, I please present this outstanding leadership of the local level award, John Potvin. Congratulations.
Thank you all for being here and for folks tuning in online. I'm Sarah Elfreth and Bruce representing this district in the Maryland Senate. Here with my partner, Delegate David Jones. I first met John on a whim. Literally, I was invited at the very last minute to come on a tour of the lighthouse with another group that was looking to help with some funding. And I think I had received incognito. I didn't tell you who I was or that I served on the budget committee for the Senate. And so, witnessing firsthand you and the volunteers that found it as well, your passion and dedication for one of the most iconic, not lighthouse, most iconic indications of our history, of our culture. It's a symbol not just of our maritime history, but of our, rough and tumble history as a state. Many stories that we could go on and on about its role, the role that it's played in American history. Witnessing your passion and the passion of the volunteers made my job as your senator, getting state money home, very My job is simply to support and amplify your good work. And so when the state was able to help 2 years in a row with funding to keep that lighthouse standing, to keep that light shining, it was a really easy sell to my colleagues because the volunteer grit that you all put in, and John, led by you, makes it really easy for us to support your work. And that's why I was even inspired this last year when we passed a bill that's going to dedicate funding for the first time every year for operating capital to preserve our maritime history. The lighthouse is what I had in mind, but we have so much of it across the state, and it deserves champions at the State House. It deserves champions in this community. I'm so proud of you and grateful for you. It's been such a pleasure to partner with the Lighthouse community over the last couple of years, and I'm just grateful for your work and your dedication to our community. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I am Delegate Dana Jones. I too have the amazing honor to represent this district in the State House with my partner, Senator Sarah Elfreth. With our rough water today, I'm kind of taken back to when we were all together to unveil the stamp. That was too an interesting weather day. It is an unbelievable honor to have this amazing lighthouse in our district. I have to say, so many of our colleagues are very envious. Wow, your district, and we are incredibly lucky to be able to tell that story as it hangs as a centerpiece. Actually, on my State House wall in my office. But more so, we are so incredibly lucky to have constituents like you who care so much and do so much for this district in order to keep our heritage, our icons, our history alive. And so I am so thankful for you, all that you have done. And so it's a pleasure to be here with you again today to thank you. And so we have a fancy piece of state paper as well. I have paper.
Okay, so
The wind is blowing everything
away. Come on in here.
So this is just what we call a very large thank you card from the Maryland General Assembly. Official citation, be it hereby known to all, our sincerest congratulations are offered to John Potvin in recognition of your dedication to preserving, restoring, and educating the public about the Thomas Shoal Point Lighthouse. Thank you for your work on this historic landmark. Will continue to shine as a beacon of the Bay for generations to come, presented on this 3rd day of May, signed by myself, Delegate Shanika Henson, Delegate Dana Jones.
Thank you so much, friend.
Am I next? I'll be short and sweet. John joined us in 1950. Pentecost and
Well, for me to say that I am honored to be this, also have to say I'm just totally amazed with this award. I'm very, very appreciative of all of it. Everybody here today, showing all the volunteers to do something with this lighthouse. This lighthouse is a symbol in the state of Maryland. It's very important to all of us. I want to specifically thank the Maryland Historic Trust for your efforts to put us on the card. All of your collections and performance on this awful lot of work that we've done out of this lighthouse. It's been a major difference for us. I want to also thank the extend this element of the Jensen, the Wisdom of State Representatives, all those funds that we put to good use. We didn't have one beam out there that was called the Sarah Elfreth beam because we didn't get it done in 2020, but we did get back additional funding in 2023 and got that taken care of. The lighthouse is shining right now. It looks better than it ever has, even when it was originally built. There are parts of it now that are even better than when it was originally built. All a tribute to what has gone on with all the volunteers. I have preservationists, we have docents, we have woodworkers. We all band together and make something happen with this lighthouse. And we're all equally thrilled. We are all in love with this lighthouse. It's a great place. I also
want to thank Dave Gandell for his kind comments and for writing the book on Thomas Shoal Point Lighthouse. It's a great story, it's a fun read, and it's something that everybody in this district, as well as the state of Maryland, should read and learn about. I also want to thank Greg from the Chesapeake chapter. Basically, he has been pushing me from behind, making sure things are happening all the time. So thank you very much, Greg. And I want to take a moment, who may be online, to thank Henry Gonzalez, who's now the president of the United States Lighthouse Society. They make me work really hard. They drive me, but it's a pleasure to be working with them. Henry turned this job over to me, kind of wheeled me in with a fishing rod, got me more involved, and I want to specifically thank Henry for that. I also want to take a moment to thank David Seitz, who is a photographer extraordinaire. Everybody in this state has seen his pictures on covers, on magazines, on the visitor's guides, on Facebook, everywhere. He's become iconic in this lighthouse. And the publicity we get as a result of that helps us out immensely. So thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
And I want to take a final thank you for Kathy and Howard, who together have partnered with us to make this happen and make a change for this lighthouse to occur. And my wife, Pat, who puts up with all this, and sometimes she wonders about this, but she puts up with it, and it's kind of a day and a night job. I think I probably worked harder at this than I did back when I was in property management. So I have a little saying that I like to close our dose of training with. I'll say it, and then we'll close here today. Volunteers don't get paid, not because they're worthless, but because they're priceless. That was said by Sherry Anderson, and that quote means a lot to me and to all of the other volunteers that have something to do with this lighthouse. Thank you all so much.